So it's fair to say we already have a rough idea of what to expect on the iPhone 12s/iPhone 13. We're still pretty unsure about that, but anyways, we know so much, and of course I've discussed a ton of leaks across the last few weeks on this channel, which of course you can check out in the iCard above. But of course, one thing I've learned in previous years is that a lot of leaks we get initially don't end up being true. In fact, a lot of it is just fluff and pretty much BS. And so today, I thought compile all these leaks and rumors and break down which ones I think are credible and which ones are not so credible. So yes, let's break it down. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification for the latest Apple news and rumors. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. Right, so if there's two features I can say are pretty much confirmed on the iPhone 13/12s, I think it's going to be 120Hz and Touch ID. So let's begin with 120Hz. So this is a feature that was supposedly coming to the iPhone 12. In fact, I remember leaks saying it was definitely 100% confirmed on the iPhone 12 series, but then we didn't see it. But of course, because we didn't get 120Hz, we've learned a lot about the fiasco behind the scenes. So from what we know from credible sources like John Prosser, the main reason why 120Hz didn't come is simply because Apple couldn't get their suppliers to make 120Hz on a mass scale. Now yes, I know that 120Hz is pretty much the norm in the Android world, but of course, Apple sells way more units than any other Android manufacturer. For example, Apple sold 90 million iPhone 12s in the last 3 months. 90. In comparison, Samsung sells 8 to 10 million Samsung Galaxy S devices in the same period. Also, a lot of rumors suggested that maybe the LTPO tech needed for a variable refresh rate on an OLED device was exclusive to Samsung back in 2020. In fact, it had just debuted on the Note 20 Ultra, and because Apple couldn't use this technology, they decided to just stick with regular old 60Hz. Anyways, coming back to the 2021 iPhones, number one, the LTPO tech is now available to other companies, and so Apple will take advantage of that. But also, I think Apple and their suppliers have found a way to make LTPO technology on a mass scale, and so yes, we shouldn't have any issues with the iPhone 12s Pros having 120Hz. Another thing that we should expect is, of course, Touch ID on the new iPhones too. So basically, I'm pretty sure Touch ID is coming because of the pandemic. We need a Touch ID scanner because we use masks outside everywhere, and so we need some sort of alternative to Face ID, and Touch ID would be perfect for that. Now, of course, we are still unsure as to whether it will be in display or integrated into the power button like the iPad Air, but either way, we should be seeing a Touch ID scanner of some sort on the iPhone 13. Right, those are pretty much the confirmed features. Let's delve into the pretty skeptical stuff. And that begins with the smaller notch. So guys, I don't want to waste your time any further because I've discussed this at length in other videos, which of course you can check out in the iCard above. But to summarize, whether this phone is going to be called the iPhone 12s or the 13, it's going to be a pretty minor refresh because we had the big super cycle with the iPhone 12s in 2020, and of course in the past, Apple follows a major redesign with a pretty minor S year. And so for the most part, the new iPhone should look near identical to the iPhone 12. But also, Apple definitely has the tech to shrink the notch. They could have done it years ago, but they haven't because a lot of their consumers simply don't care about the notch. They don't give a damn, and so there's no point putting the R&D cost into making that slightly smaller just so us techies, the minority, get gassed about. Honestly, we see this every year, so yes, I'm going to dismiss the rumors once again. I don't think a smaller notch is happening. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. I refuse to believe it, but I'll happily be wrong. If Apple can manage to give us a smaller notch, obviously, that would be a nice addition. But temper your expectations, people. This is an S year at the end of the day, so yeah. Design-wise, it should be pretty similar to the iPhone 12. Right, let's now talk about the portless design. Apparently, Apple is getting rid of the port on the biggest model, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and of course using MagSafe exclusively to charge the phone. Now yes, I'm aware that a lot of credible sources have told us about this, But guys, I refuse to believe this too. I just think it won't happen this soon. So guys, I used the MagSafe charger when it came out and I immediately returned that thing because number one, it was painfully slow to use. It was ridiculous. It was terrible in terms of charging speeds, but also it created so much heat. It created too much heat. In fact, I was worried my phone's battery health would be ruined, and so yeah, I returned it. I did not want to see it again. And so till Apple can solve these issues, which is something quite hard because fundamentally these are issues we've had with wireless charging forever now, then I don't think Apple can give us MagSafe exclusively on the new iPhones. Right, now let's talk about the extensive camera leaks we've heard about the iPhone 13. So number one, the camera upgrades from the iPhone 12 Pro Max coming to the rest of the lineup. That makes complete sense to me. I mean, that is to be expected because of course, when we see exclusive features on a higher end iPhone, it usually trickles down to the rest of the lineup. So yeah, it makes sense that features such as sensor shift, optical image stabilization, the LiDAR camera, the bigger sensor allowing 88% more light, all of these big upgrades coming down to the rest of the lineup. The issue I have with the camera leaks is actually regarding the camera design itself. So instead of having the camera bump color match to the phone and of course having a ridge with the actual lenses, Apple's going to go for a design that's more flush and apparently will be black. So on all models will be completely black and essentially will be very similar to the iPad Pro's camera layout we have today. Now I won't completely dismiss this because of course with S years before we have seen small refinements and changes to the design and this isn't too drastic. But at the same time, I don't think it will look that nice with a black camera bump. I don't think Apple needs to mess with how it looks right now because it looks absolutely great in my opinion. So yeah, I'm not too happy about that. Of course, maybe I'll change my opinion when I see the real device, but I hope this isn't happening. I just want Apple to give us camera upgrades without actually changing the design. Right, the next leaks I want to talk about are pretty boring to be honest, and so I feel like they will happen, and that is 1 terabyte of storage on the Pros and Wi-Fi 6E. So guys, I'll admit I did kind of underestimate how many of you like having local storage, and so of course offering more options in terms of that, it makes a lot of sense. What's also happening for sure is Wi-Fi 6E. So essentially, Wi-Fi 6E is a version of Wi-Fi 6, but you will be able to use the 6 GHz spectrum, which of course is completely different from the current 2.4 GHz spectrum and 5 GHz spectrum we have today. So essentially you have reduced latency, better connection speeds, the whole lot. It's going to be a huge improvement, but the catch is you need a Wi-Fi 6E enabled router, and that's not very common. I'm assuming a lot of you aren't going to be upgrading your router anytime soon. So it's something for the future. It definitely future-proofs these devices, but most of us won't be using this anytime soon. Right, we come to the 2 final features to delve into, and that is an always-on display and reverse wireless charging. Right, so because Apple is using LTPO technology on the iPhone 13 for 120Hz, this could enable always-on displays finally on the iPhone. Now, if you didn't know, the Apple Watch also uses the same technology to achieve its always-on display, and so for that reason, I think there is a possibility. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know, I'm kind of unsure about this. I would love to have an always-on display, and obviously Apple has been copying a ton of Android features as of late with their software, so yeah, copying an always-on display too, that would be pretty ideal. But talking about copying, this is a feature I've kind of envied from my fellow Samsung users, and that is reverse wireless charging. So this leak came around because apparently AirTags will use some sort of reverse wireless charging tech to be charged by your iPhone, and so maybe Apple could enable this feature on the iPhone 12s/13. Now, of course, for quite a while we've been hearing that apparently these iPhones do have the tech for reverse wireless charging, but they've been disabled in the software, and I've been thinking that maybe they've been disabled because AirTags have been pushed back for so many years now, and so eventually, when AirTags does release, I think Apple will finally unveil this feature, and so if we see it this year, big if, but if we do, then yeah, iPhone 12s having the reverse wireless charging tech, it makes a lot of sense. I think the only question is, will this be restricted to some devices, or is it going to be a feature available for any Qi-enabled device? Obviously, I have no clue, just don't make it exclusive on the AirTags. At least let us charge our AirPods on the back of the iPhone, that would be pretty neat. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this feature, and I think there is a high chance this happens this year. Actually, I do have one more thing to mention, and that is the name. Of course, one thing that everybody's unsure about is whether this iPhone will be the 12S or the 13. Now, actually, we did get more information about this from John Prosser, and apparently, because 13 is an unlucky number in, of course, Western culture, maybe Apple will never make an iPhone 13. Maybe they'll skip that number, and so taking that into consideration, 12S makes a lot more sense. And of course, like I've said many times, these are going to be an S-year upgrade, and so calling it the 12S seems the most logical. Although I think a lot of people have issue with the 12S because 12S Pro Max is a mouthful. And yes, I agree, but of course we also got 10S Max and we didn't think we'll get that, but we did. We got 11 Pro Max, 12 Pro Max. So yeah, Apple's names are just terrible and they're kind of embracing it, I guess. But I guess it is a name at the end of the day, so Timothy, feel free to call it the iPhone 12S Pro Max 5G Ultra Edition with Wi-Fi 6E. I don't care, just give me Touch ID and 120Hz, that's all I beg for. But tell me in the comments below, which feature are you looking forward to on the iPhone 12S, and which feature do you think is not happening with these upcoming iPhones? And on that note, I'll end it here. Thank you for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification for the latest Apple news and rumors, check out the video here in the icon above about the March event happening very soon, and on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.